2024. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Susan Payne.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sharon McDonald. Commissioner Nick Paul. Here. Commissioner Stephen Burnett.
Here.
Commissioner Warren Robinson.
Here.
Commissioner Josh Rudin.
Here.
Commissioner Mark Tapley.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. I didn't mean to hesitate. I just can't believe it's November 19th already. I had to really do a double take on that. Okay. We are going to start with our invocation given by Pastor Tyler Grace of Christ Community Church, followed by the pledge led by.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, staff, and guests. Would you pray with me? Father God, I thank you for you. God, I thank you for your grace toward us, your love toward us. I thank you for our community, alamogordo, for the people that make it up, for our leaders here tonight. Lord, I ask for your blessing upon us. Lord, I ask for your guidance for us. Guide our community, God, to be a place of prosperity, a place of well-being, and a place for people to thrive. Father, I ask that you give our leaders wisdom to lead us in that direction. Be with them tonight, and be with them every day, that they do the work to shepherd and guide this community. I ask that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Please follow me in the pledge.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Grace. Okay. Well, let's start with the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I would like to make one comment on that. So we will be calling item 5 tonight, which is the unfinished business item that is consider and act upon ordinance 1707 KC-2024-005 for first application of map amendment to rezone 1701 Cuba Avenue from R1 single family dwelling district to R3 2-family dwelling district. The reason for this is the representative for the case is ill and was not able to attend tonight, so he requested that we move to a meeting next month.
Okay, thank you. We just talked about that too. I wrote it down right here. I should have wrote it right there. Anyway, all righty. And with that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda minus item 5? I have a motion from Commissioner Reardon. Do I have a second? A second from Commissioner Paul. Will the clerk please put us to vote? I wonder if he's here. Everybody look for the back there. If you, I what you have a presentation on homelessness and panhandling in alamogordo streets. And if you'll
Mayor Pro Tem, and Commissioners, thanks for scheduling time to hear from a resident of alamogordo. I was asked coming here if there would be a PowerPoint. Absolutely not. I think that's boring, and you'd all be asleep by the time I was done. To get straight to the point, I'm here about the health and safety of residents in alamogordo. The panhandlers on our streets are a detriment to all of those things. After nearly 2 decades of service away from alamogordo, I realize it's not the same as when I left it. I see residents of my hometown harassed on the streets daily, and it's a problem. I've seen panhandlers curse at families and their kids in their vehicles at intersections on the roads. They discourage people from shopping at businesses in town by camping outside of the doors. They throw rocks at people's vehicles when they refuse to give them money. Residents call the police to deal with these incidents to no consequence for the offenders. This affects our families, our economy, our business owners, and you, Mayor, Commissioners. This affects all of us because we take responsibility for this city by nature of serving in positions of authority and leadership. At this point, you may be thinking of surveys or data that you've seen that suggest these are minor incidents. They are rare in frequency. But I'm going to tell you that the number of panhandlers doesn't matter. From experience, I will tell you that it's real easy to make a dozen people feel like 100. It's not about their numbers, it's about where they are. These panhandlers are located at every major choke point in town. And they do this intentionally. They know what they're doing. It's to make their presence felt, seen, and affect the community at the highest level possible with as few people as possible. Alamogordo is allowing its citizens to be at risk and hurting our economy in the process. I understand that some citizens want to provide relief to these panhandlers. Let them. I understand what it's like to struggle, and I understand that sometimes it's nice to just help somebody. But as leaders of this city, you have an obligation to consider the rest of your citizens too, who do not feel the same. Some citizens simply want to buy groceries for their families without being harassed in the parking lot or approached by strange men and women when they're alone. Lastly, these panhandlers are residents of Alamogordo too. Your leadership position panhandlers deserve punishment nor relief. I'm saying Alamogordo deserves a way to mitigate their impact on my hometown. I don't like to complain without having solutions to recommend, so here they are. Allow people to beg for money in my hometown. Allow it. But designate a place for them to do so. This will allow residents and business owners to operate peacefully, go about their daily lives uninterrupted, unimpeded, while informing charitable citizens and organizations who want to help these people exactly where they can go to help them, if that's the for them to conduct activities. I bring this up to you because many in town feel that it's pointless to do so. They say it's pointless to try and change the situation. The city won't do anything about it, I've heard people say. Some citizens feel uncomfortable even voicing the stance that I'm presenting to you right now. They may agree wholeheartedly with what I'm saying, but they don't want to be seen as the bad guy for fear of being the only one who may feel that way. I may sound harsh, but I'm not saying that they don't deserve relief. I'm saying we designate a place for them to receive it should people choose to give it. So, people think it's pointless to try and change this situation. I disagree. I believe you miss every shot you don't take. And if you don't ask, you don't get. You must be in those seats because you've demonstrated leadership among your peers, subordinates, superiors, at some point in your careers. Well, I ask that now is time to show it. I know that this presentation is not scheduled as a call to action, but I will take the appropriate steps to make it so. Using your official channels, you and I can work together to make it a reality. You and I are not enemies. We all want this to be a better place to live. If you were to ask my recommendation for a place in town to designate for panhandling activities, I would recommend the parking lot right outside this building. If you wouldn't feel comfortable with that, then you understand exactly the point that I'm making with this presentation. If anyone in Alamogordo has ever been harassed or avoided a business in town because of panhandlers, then I hope they'll hear my words. They're not alone, and they don't have to tolerate it. I will not. I want my hometown to be the place that I remember, that I grew up in, and that my children will now grow up. I appreciate the time you've taken to hear me out. I only left time for a dialogue if you choose to take it. Otherwise, I'll stand by until the end of this meeting if you have any questions or comments. Have a good evening.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been back here?
My family and I, my wife and 2 children, moved back in June, late May, early June of this year.
Okay, so I am gonna have a little bit of a dialogue with you, because I 1000% agree with everything you just said. There's a couple of things I want you to know, okay? Number one, let's start here. Stephanie, what did I call you about this morning?
The homeless camp on Florida.
That's right, there's a homeless camp on Florida, and I called her. And I said, get it out of there, because it shouldn't be there. I want you to know that I 1000% agree with you, and every single day, I'm on the lookout for it. Every single day. And when we see it, and it's on city property, they're gone. And if you sound heartless, then I sound heartless. And I will also tell you this, I run a human services nonprofit in town. I help homeless, Nadia's sitting right here, she can tell you, I help homeless people every day. I help people in need every single day. So I have it, I look at it from 2 perspectives. Number one, I do not believe that just giving things out or handing things out is the right way to do it. I think you're taking away people's dignity. And I think that there shouldn't be any designated place for that. We have plenty of nonprofits in this town that help people, and I think that's where we need to direct them. And I will also tell you that we don't want it either. And we just got a report from our city manager last Friday, or maybe over the weekend, and it is one of the things that she works on almost daily, because none of us want this. I want you to know that none of us want this. This is not good for our city, and it's interesting that you said they sit there and harass you until you give them what they want, because what have I said a million times? They sit there and harass you because they know if they do that long enough, you're going to give them what they want to get rid of them. It's called manipulation. It happens all the time here. So I want you to know that I don't disagree with you. And I don't like it either. I don't like driving by our streets. I don't like looking on our corners and seeing people literally camped out. I don't like it. I complain about it every day. But I do want you to know that we are working on it, because we do recognize that if we don't, we're gonna have a real serious problem. And not everybody agrees with me either. You're absolutely right. Not everybody agrees with me. Some people think I'm, mean or whatever, but I work with this every single day. I understand what you're saying, and I think it's something that we have to be mindful of all the time. So I just want you to know, I could see the passion you know, I could see it in your eyes, I could hear it in your voice, but I want you to know it is something that we are ad nauseum talking about. So we do recognize that it's a problem, and for those who say the city won't do anything, that's a cop-out, that's an excuse, because I get very, very few, I don't know, I can't speak for the rest of my commissioners, but I get very few emails, very few phone calls on it. And when I do get a phone call, I'm on it right away. Because let's face it, that, you know, I've always said, and I will continue to say, that Alamogordo is not a big city until you have to clean it up, right? We don't have enough officers to be everywhere, we don't have enough people to be everywhere, so we count on our citizens to let us know. And when they say things like the city won't do anything, that's just a cop-out. We need more people like you that say, this is what's going on, can you take care of it? Because I assure you that when I get those calls, it's taken care of. So I just wanted you to know that we're not turning a blind eye to it. I'm not turning a blind eye to it, I can tell you that. I don't like it. I think it takes away a person's dignity to see them sleeping on the street. Honestly, if they can do better. I believe that everybody has potential and everybody is capable. And when I see them sleeping on the street because they think that's all there is, it just kills me, because I think that they can do better and have better. So I just wanted you to know that.
Ma'am, thank you for your comments.
All right, thank you. Does anybody else have anything, any questions, any comments? No? Okay. Thank you for taking the time, I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have nobody signed up for public comment. I don't think anybody can have to grab the sheet. So with that, we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Commission. I have a couple of things for you. I know normally we cancel the second meeting in December. We have a lot of things that we need to cover for end of the year, before the end of the year. It's not on Christmas week, it's the week before, it's the third Tuesday. So we're gonna go ahead and keep it if commission would allow that. By the end of the year, we have our loan coming up. We have the status of APD and future policing coming up, audit, Commissioner Paul's recognition for being a commissioner. Then we have the vacancy resolution. We have the calendar for next year, public camping ordinance, possible LEDA information, intersection upgrade, project awards, officer recognition. I mean, we have just tons of stuff coming up, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't want that on your meeting. But your decision if you choose to do that. Also, you're gonna start meeting in future conflicts and Eddie here to talk about the items of concerns that we're getting from citizens. That way, as a commission, you can ask straight the department that's dealing with this, because there's a lot of information that goes back and forth between me and you, and sometimes it takes me a while to get back to you, sometimes it gets lost in translation, so I figured that it's better for our departments to come up and discuss it so that we can get information on the record and out to the citizens of the right information. And finally, we're opening our budget season. We had workshops, everyone has them Friday and Monday, and just a heads up, we will be going more than one day. We will probably go 2 or 3 days. It's gonna, we have some plans coming up that we believe we need at least 2 days for sure. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to remarks and inquiries by the city commission.
Just had a question. What are the anticipated meeting dates for December?
The 3rd and the
17th.
17th. Yeah. The first is the first and the 3rd Tuesday.
Anybody else? No? Okay, so the only thing I have is, the Saturday after Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving is, Small Business Saturday. So shop small, shop local, and don't forget downtown is open for those of you that are watching. Support our businesses downtown, and so that is coming up. There's obviously, what do they call it the day after Thanksgiving? Black Friday, yeah, I never, you're not gonna get you in the store on Black Friday, but, so Saturday is Small Business Saturday. and check out the downtown area. I'm super impressed with what is going on down there. There are 3 new businesses going on downtown. There's a new one, new bakery downtown, a lot of great things happening, so, make sure you check that out as well. And I think, and there was the, Sharon and I were both on the Zoom meeting for the accreditation, re-accreditation, annual accreditation for Street, and they recommended for re-accreditation, and going on worked really hard, yeah, so I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this next year. We're gonna have a lot of great things happening, so it's nice to see all that work coming to fruition. Anyway, okay, is there anything else? No? All right, with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is anything off the consent? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Motion from Mayor.
City and some updates and some changes that we made, some different things that we're doing to up the production, to get some of this patching done and other things. I'm gonna talk to you about a few points that I'm gonna make, a couple of items of discussion, and then the last item I'm going to show you a patching mapping tool that Justin Boyle, project manager, developed. It's a tool that we use to plan and what am I trying to say here? Sorry, schedule. It's difficult to schedule. These patches are all over town, and some of them are spread apart, so this patching tool has been really helpful. So I'll provide that in the end. But the first few points that I'm going to talk about will be staffing and scheduling, some of the changes we made to our staffing to up the maintenance efforts. Street maintenance, utilizing 2 crews for patching, maximizing all our resources available. In October, mandatory overtime was implemented to give our crews more time to patch as needed. So we assigned them a certain amount of patches. If they have to stay past their time, they do. This is mandatory. Employee schedules have been adjusted to allow more time in the afternoon to patch. Typically, they were coming in a little earlier, it's darker. Now they're coming in a little later so that they're able to stay late. And usually it's warmer in the afternoon, which is ideal. In addition to that, weed and drainage department has been assisting us. They've been really helpful, providing additional assistance to our asphalt crews. Different things. $66. 75 are on projects. They are titled Water Sewer Replacement Program. Okay? So 55 are tentatively scheduled and 136 not started. So we have 55 that are tentatively scheduled currently. I'll show you that on the map. There's a indicator, and I'll kind of go over that with you in a little bit. 136 are not started. We still got to get locates and plan on those. The 191 total that we are still in progress to working on. So utilities constantly open up holes, doing repairs, doing different projects like valve replacement and different stuff like that. So these numbers include that. Street maintenance is focused on repairing not scheduled water sewer replacement projects. So some of these projects, they're gonna have new utilities, new asphalt roads. So we're kind of staying on these roads. Projects are moving forward, are in progress. We go and patch these roads, it's more of like no work. Patch scheduling consists of oldest to new. Our water system, we target the older. Some of these have been there for a little. Of course, with the comments that I'm sure all of you received, you can tell which ones have been there longer. So we're targeting the oldest to the newest. At times, patches come up with a priority. In other words, roads that are heavily traveled, like Florida and Indian Wells. So these patches have to be interrupted in our normal schedule, priority. It slows down. That's what we do. Road crossings, priority time. That interrupts our project. To repairs with a goal to catch up on the number of patches that need completing. So if they're opening up 11, we're giving a goal of 20, so we're kind of doubling that. And that's the goal, trying to get ahead of that, get ahead and start catching up on some of the patches that have been sitting. Utilities have allowed street maintenance to use equipment to assist with the patching, which has been really helpful. Department has given us some really help. Some of the departments. Averages 11 carry exactly. Next point I want to make is technical standards. A couple of things. Concrete repair, that's a separate type of a crew that we have. They do concrete sidewalks, you've seen them, sidewalk curb, gutter, that kind of thing. And they do their own work order, so they're separate from asphalt. We've implemented the standards with that department, with that area. And I'll explain technical standards in a moment. Concrete repair is moving at a more consistent pace due to the organization of the work order process. We've changed some of the work order processes that we've done. And again, we've really just targeted oldest and newest, so that's been really helpful. Concrete patches done in an organized fashion. Additionally, the weed and drainage department is assisting with the larger job. So again, weed and drainage comes into play. They've been really helpful with concrete also. Sometimes we have big stretches of concrete. Weed and drainage jumps in there and gives us a hand. These guys have been really, really helpful, and they've been very cooperative. We're really thankful to have them in our area. The city's technical standards have been implemented, utilized by concrete crews and street maintenance. Technical standards guidelines designed to provide more durability and longer-term quality of street maintenance work. So technical standards are important. So just a quick explanation: expansion joints between concrete, so the concrete doesn't crack. Concrete expands and contracts. These joints are put in between these concrete pieces so that they're longer durability, no cracks, stuff like that. And if you remember, we had a lot of projects on 10th Street. To you on the big monitors gives us a couple of points, and I'll explain that to you in a moment. This map provides information and transparency to city management and to street maintenance staff. So the patch map is projected in our street maintenance department so that our staff can see the patches and everything else. So this tool has been really valuable for our staff. They see the production, they see the colors, and I'll explain all these things to you in a moment. But by them seeing this map every day and seeing the productivity, It's an improvement route and giving the staff a sense of accomplishment and productivity. So with that, I'm going to head to the back and I'll kind of show you guys a couple of the main points on this map. And then I'll open up for questions unless you want to ask some questions now. Do you have any questions while I'm at the podium?
At the current rate that you're getting these patched, how long do you think it'll take you to get caught up?
Can you repeat that, sir?
How long it'll take you to get caught up at the rate you're going? Because they're opening up 11, you're doing 20, so you're gaining, 9 or 10 of them a week.
Right now we're on a crunch. We're, like I said, beginning of October, it was all mandatory overtime, so we're pushing as hard as we can. Asphalt's a little tricky. Once we come to middle of December, third week of December, it's gonna be too cold to patch. And then that process is gonna slow down, unfortunately. So, realistically, we're looking at probably late February, maybe March. We're really looking to we can get that number down to below 175. That's gonna be a positive thing. We're gonna really see a difference out on the street. But once it gets cold, it's gonna really slow down. And asphalt sits in a dump truck, and while they're doing their work, it gets cold and it's hard to handle and manage while it's cold.
So we not still have that trailer that's heated for that? We used to have one, I don't know if we still do or not.
Is it like a pothole?
It was a trailer specifically for asphalt that kept it heated while they transported it around.
As a pothole patcher, yeah, we do. And actually it's in for repair. But yeah, we do use that for smaller items. The patching I'm talking about is more like bigger squares, bigger areas, potholes.
The reason I'm asking is, just to help with staff time, I know we had done our, bid on it, and we had actually awarded it, but I think it wasn't quite the scope that we were wanting. Is if we put out an RFP or whatever for another contractor to come in and help us get back to, it seems like you guys have gotten on it where you can handle it once it's back to a normal workload. But I just didn't know if it would be in our best interest to get a contractor in to help you guys get caught up.
Sir, we have actually made some dirty contract in place, and we've been using that also. It's a little slow going because they've got a lot of work, and so it's been tough to get them to do our patches because realistically, our patches are smaller stuff. They're dealing with like roadways and different things like that. And I know a lot of the crews are out in Las Cruces, so it's been a little bit tricky getting them to do some of our patching.
So is that contract that you did a couple of months ago?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
They have the contract, but they're not fulfilling it?
It's a little, we're trying to work with them the best we can, sir, I know that they said they're gonna start, they're gonna give us some patches to do, they're gonna be able to do some for us in December, I believe. They just did, about a half a dozen, about 9 of them for us, so that was a big help. I think we're gonna try to get them to do another maybe dozen or so here right around the holiday time, so that'll help a lot, and then they said that after the holidays, they'll be able to really provide some assistance, so that'll be good. But that won't be till January, February. Mesa Verde, they're the only plant and they're the only source of asphalt here in our town. So we've had a lot of days where we just haven't been able to run asphalt because they're just not providing. That happened Monday this week, as a matter of fact. All of our crews are ready to go, and we call and no asphalt. So it can, and then weather, but yeah, it's a little bit tricky, and we're just trying to navigate around that. And Mesa Verde's been pretty good, they've been helpful, but
They just run the one plant out there?
we have one out in that branch, and yeah, it would be really helpful if we had our own asphalt plant here at the yard, but that's a future consideration,
Saturday also, they have their own batch plant.
Mhm.
They- Between Cuba and Oregon, I think I asked about them back when Brian was still city manager, and they're still not patched.
And I think if I could just say something, Jimmy, Eddie, and I had a meeting, I think Justin was there, I'm not sure. But it's evolved, it's not just about us, it's not about us being behind, it's about the citizens. And I think that they reiterated that to their staff, that it's, at the end of the day, we're affecting our citizens' quality of life by going over these potholes. And I believe that we're
this section and bid that out, or just do it with CES or something along those lines?
Yeah, so we met, I think, in October, and we said we're gonna reevaluate about it December-ish and see what the next steps are. So, I mean, we'll look at everything that we can, that possibly comes up.
Yeah, just to get us caught up, like I say, I think staff can handle it once it's caught up, it just got so far behind. You know, at one time, I think we had 500 or 600 patches around town.
Yeah.
Open.
Yeah, I did 400 at one point, it was pretty high, you know. I mean, I did the numbers today and I saw that 266 and I was like,
That's actually pretty
great,
good.
you know, I mean, it's not great, but in my corner,
Yeah.
I know we hit 400.
I know I was doing a job up there on the Thunder Road, man, and there was, I think, 12 on Thunder Road alone.
Well, we were up there for a little while, I can tell you,
You were up there.
a
and
month, I think a month.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, the citizens up there were very, very happy. My secretary lives up there, and she
Yeah.
goes, I don't know what happened, she said, but all of a sudden, they're showing up every day and they're fixing the roads, and I'm like, and I will tell you that on my street, we had this, like, dip in the road, and my husband kept saying, I think you need to call, and I'm like, no, cause I felt so guilty, I was like, oh no, I need is I'm working on the street. It was darn leak under the road, I let that thing go for months before I finally called, and then he tells me, there was a leak under there, and I just didn't want him to like make my road required. Okay, I've learned my lesson.
Yeah, and I think after we finished up there, we were all happy to move on to there. And once you know it, I guess another water leak sprung out, and another patch right after we left. And it just goes that way, you know, it's kinda hard to get it out.
You don't know, you never know, and so, anyway, I learned a lesson.
I know you receive a lot of complaints. You receive any compliments?
Yes, definitely, we've had a lot of compliments. Matter of fact, the area up there in Thunder Road area, I've gotten a few emails, telling us thank you.
Yeah.
And I passed that on to staff, because they need to hear that, they're out there working pretty hard. And like Stephanie said, you know, the message that we keep giving them is it's not about like the public works director or the city manager or the commission, all due respect, it's more, let's provide to the city, we need to push forward and provide better to the city now. Because of roads, you know, I hate to say this, but I think on Sunday I came to town, I drove through town, drove through a patch, it was muddy, and it kinda went down, and I'm like, man, this is a bummer, and I know, not that I didn't know, but I do understand what the citizens are complaining about, I get it. And so those types of things we're communicating to the staff, and I think it's really helping them. I think it's giving them another extra kind of level of motivation to get out and work a little harder, stay a little late some days. We even had guys staying 5 o'clock out there doing some saw cutting and some other stuff. Oh, it's been good. I think the morale is really good, and they got that message. Let's do for the public. Let's get these roads safe again.
Would you pass on to the crew, we appreciate their efforts greatly.
I'm sorry?
Pass on to your crew that we appreciate their extra efforts.
Absolutely.
And Jimmy, just real quick, I know this is on the streets, but because Eddie is, the manager over weeds and drainage too, some of the commission has come with some, concerns from the citizens. Can you address some of those, Jimmy? The weeds and drainage part that you're having crews do?
Yeah, so with all the good things that Wind and Drainage is doing, helping asphalt, but I keep in mind that their main work is ditches and basins. So if they're working asphalt and helping them out, the ditches are gonna become falling the wayside a little bit, and that's been happening. And matter of fact, this week we're hoping it'll dry out a little so we can get those guys out and do a couple of items, one that I know that you talked to us about, Mayor, so we have to remember that. And this also includes, now keep in mind, we have 2 asphalt crews. One of our asphalt crews is our signs crew. These are the guys that go out and fix our signs, stripe our roads and different stuff like that. They're doing asphalt, and they're doing a pretty darn good job of it, but the work that they normally do is not getting done on a consistent basis. and that includes weed and drainage. So weed and drainage is doing what they can. I've even asked them to come in on Saturday and do some ditches, and I think they're gonna do that. They're gonna come in on Saturdays and run the mowers and get some of these ditches cleared out. I'm working with a contractor to get them to do some spraying, to get that, the ditches sprayed now, so that way in the springtime, they're not so big and not growing so quickly. And hopefully I'll get that proposal back soon, and we can get those contractors out there to do that, so. But yeah, that's a good point, Stephanie, you know, with all the help that we're getting, some of the jobs that those guys are normally doing, they're not getting done on a consistent basis right now, so I would ask that we could be a little patient with them, and we're doing the best we can, to get all the work done, the best we can.
Yeah, I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been getting lots of calls about the ditches, I guess the tumbleweeds or whatever they are, the ditches, and the ditches not being cleaned, and so I've gotten several really calls about that, so that's what he's talking about.
I think we've got to schedule this.
I have to make my citizens understand, and I think that for the most part they do, they're patient, but one of them's like, oh, I've been going in there and cleaning it, well, that kinda scares me too, because I'm not sure I really want them in there. Technically, they're not supposed to be in there, it's trespassing, and so, how do you say, yeah, I appreciate you cleaning up the ditch behind your house, but don't go in there, because you could be cited for it, so it's a catch-22, but I know they're doing the best they can, I'm not upset about it, I feel like if somebody calls me, I have to pass it on.
We have to address it, that's
Yeah.
right, that's right.
Yeah, so.
Any more questions?
I do have one.
Sure.
13th Street between Florida and Indiana. Yeah, is there a timetable on when that road's gonna get? It can't be patched, it's unpatchable, but it needs to be.
We'll look at the map, I don't know if it's on a water and sewer replacement program, but we'll take a look at that area. Justin, do you happen to know if that area is on a, because some of these areas, sir?
It's not it's gotta be, I believe it's 13th. East-west, yeah.
But Justin's gonna go up there, this is his baby right here. If you guys would have seen this map when he started with it, it's complete transformation, so this is a really cool tool, been really helpful.
So you said 13th Street, right?
Yes,
Yes. So that one's actually WSRP 003. So that one will be going out for design in January. And then hopefully by June, give or take on the design, we should go out for construction. And that's gonna be all three of those. So that'll be 13th, 14th, and 15th Street.
I get the most complaints is on 13th.
Yeah, and there's quite a few that are involved in that one. So
Yeah.
even over here next to the City Hall on 7th, 8th, and 9th Street. And then, as well over here, Juniper and Maple.
Hawaii from 10th to 11th, right there, post office.
Post office, so that one is actually this. So that one's actually going to be, so the designs, it's already being designed right now.
Okay.
That one's gonna be done in January. So basically, once the design is done, construction, next one goes out for design. And it's just a periodically transition every time.
So we're looking at spring of next year, possibly to get it awarded. in
February or March, give or take. So that one will definitely be in construction.
I mean, that one block of that road is just
Yeah.
horrible. The rest of it's not too bad.
And, as you can see, anything that you see on the color, just based off of the 002, 3, 4, as you go down, that's basically timing wise on what's gonna be next.
How do we get access to this?
So,
We can get you,
yeah, so I could get GIS Tony, I'll be able to get him to give you a brief.
Where we can look at it periodically.
if you can send me an email if you want access to it, we'll get y'all access, whoever wants it.
Does anybody else think it's like incredibly refreshing to ask a question and go, oh yeah, it's in the design phase, or it's gonna be, or. Listen, I have been on this commission since 2016, I have never heard that response before, ever, honestly, I've never heard a response like that, so kudos to all of you. Thank you for making it a priority, because I think everybody can agree that's probably number one or two of the complaints that we get is
Florida 10th, the concrete itself, not where y'all just fixed, but the concrete itself, is that on any kind of an agenda anytime soon?
Florida and 10th?
Florida 10th.
At the moment, there is nothing that I've seen that's on Florida and 10th intersection.
I just, the last few times I've been through there, that concrete's starting to fail. It was redone probably 12, 14 years ago, pieces of it, not the whole intersection, but
That I know of at the moment on 10th Street is Washington and 10th. Once they get that, the reason why that one is slowed down is because of the rain. So, but that intersection is going to be redone, but I haven't seen anything on Florida or 10th yet.
I don't think I mentioned that the patches that are on these WSRPs, these projects, we're staying away from them. We're not patching those areas, like I said. I think I mentioned that, but I want to reiterate that. So if you guys get calls on those particular areas, we're not gonna be patching those initially unless it's something where it's really serious. I mean, we've had to patch a few, but we're really just trying to stay away and wait for Justin to do his thing with the projects, because they're coming along really quickly. And, we don't wanna patch over a road that's gonna be completely redone, so it's just double work.
And I think this is important to mention. This is why it was so important for the commission to pass the water rates, because these wouldn't have even been on this map as SMP projects, because we wouldn't have been able to afford them. We were already behind. I think we couldn't even get to 22, right? So again, a shout out to the commission for, making that hard decision, passing the water rate so that we can get some of these things done.
It's working, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I believe that's all I have. I can show you the patch map. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make sure, I want to get the card from you. You said you were not told, but
You have-
represent.
I'll go to the back and I'll kind of point it out to you. And I want to also explain to you that the patch colors, they were changed for me, because I couldn't tell before, I'm colorblind. So they were green and red. And so I'm the public works director, I'm trying to help manage these things, but I couldn't tell which ones were red and green. So our GIS department changed these colors, and now we have 3 different colors, and they're working really well. So I'll go ahead and explain that to you now, and I'll go back and I'll show you. Just give me a few minutes. Thank you. Okay, so a couple of things I want to explain to you. Again, water and sewer replacement program, we have different color codes. As you can see, all the roadways, they have different colors. So these are on replacement programs. That means that the utilities and they're going to give you utilities and repaving. So again, these patches are not being scheduled at this time. We have some striping projects on the map. So these projects, 24 is done, 25 and 25. Highway. Do some miscellaneous ways throughout the city, so that's been a big help. Down on the bottom, we have 3 different colors. So blue is not patched. That means these are the items that are still not being scheduled. They're not patched. We also have a red dot that was just incorporated. The red dot is a patch in progress. That means they're scheduled. So what we can do is you click on and you can yes, patches were turned into public works and creation day. So that's I believe that's in progress, right? And it has an ETA. So that one, it's a little behind 1028 through 11. And by the different areas this map has been really helpful. And like I said, the map is also projected out in the street maintenance department, so our employees can see it. And they can interact with it next, on these further in, helpful with planning and all of that stuff, so. Any questions on the map?
Anybody have any questions? Pretty awesome. Justin did that? Is that what I heard?
Again, you should have seen this thing before, he started it. It was literally like a spreadsheet with some color on it. So he's developed it, quite a bit.
It was Tony as well, correct? Tony from GIS as well.
Yep.
I'm trying to give him a shout out too.
Yeah, and Tony got me these colors so I can see them better, so I'm really thankful to him about it. So that was really helpful. But yeah, Justin's done a great job with this map. It's been really helpful.
Right. And it makes sense.
And it gets updated every Monday, so for those of you who get access, we're continuously monitoring this, but I believe Justin updates it every Monday.
My assistant, her name is Candace Githart. She works pretty hard on this map. She's updating, she's getting the work orders in, putting all this information in. She's been really helpful with it, working with Justin to get all the numbers, accurate. And, the map is, I like to say that this map is 100% accurate, but it's not. Some of these patches that we've been out and looked at, they don't exist, so we have to take them off the map, which is a good thing. I mean, we don't have to patch that area, but then there's some that weren't on the map that we've encountered. So I would probably say it's pretty close to accurate, but we'll be still a little bit of work in progress, but it's pretty close, and it's been really helpful.
Wow. Does anybody else have any questions?
So Commissioner Reardon wanted access. Anybody else?
What system is
Yeah,
that?
I do.
How are we gonna access that, like?
So they'll send you an email and it's web-based, so you'll just click in it, set yourself up a password, and then you can just go to it.
Is that?
I would like it, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
It's really quite easy. Once you have the link,
Do
just
you have
go in
like an
there.
app that goes on the phone or?
No, it's a web-based, but we'll get you covered.
I had another question.
Yes, ma'am.
And, I know that I did get some information on, like, the phase one of the striping, has been completed. So when we get ready to go to phase two, will you announce that or point out that area?
Phase 1 of FY25?
For, for the striping? It's been done, but I'm just asking, when you go to phase two, will that be noted on this map too?
Justin?
I can do this.
Okay.
Justin can update on these projects a little better than I can, ma'am.
So, are you talking about FY25 phase 1, or are you talking about FY24? Because FY24 is the one we just completed.
Yeah, 24 is completed, so phase two is going into 25.
No, so 25 phase 1 will be the next one to go now. Yeah, so 24 was because it happened right before July, the design, so we had that at 24. But because of different striping projects, we divided them up into different phases for FY25 for this fiscal year. So the FY25, which is without the one in parentheses, is right above that too. That one is literally 99% completed on design. We're literally just making one markup and that's it. And then it'll be shovel ready to go out for striping whenever, of course, the director gives me the go ahead on that. And then FY25 phase 2, that one's in design at the moment. So that one I'll probably get 30, well actually, maybe 30% design, maybe sometime in January for the phase 2 part. Because there's 3 different striping jobs over there.
So it looks like Cuba, the 25 phase 1, correct?
Correct. Yes. And technically, Florida intersectionizer on First Street, technically it would be First Street as well, so that whole intersection is gonna be redone, so.
On the phase that we just completed, there, that y'all just completed out there on the Bell, right, to turn on the 70, all the turn arrows with one of those heavy rainstorms that just caused it to just disintegrate.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the turn, just the, actually, it's just the head of the turn arrow.
Okay, so usually when it comes to projects, I have, like even though they're completed, I have warranty inspections. So every month or 2 months, I go out and I check all my projects to see if I see any
Yeah,
mess-ups.
okay.
So I'll definitely take a look at that because it is under warranty for a full year, so. But I do want to let you know every time a project's on there,
Yeah, it started to deteriorate with that first heavy with it rain we had a month and a half ago, and then I actually saw somebody over there spinning cookies, and I think that helped escalate it a little bit. There's, he was just sitting right there at the intersection spinning around and tore off that. Just the turn arrows are disintegrating for some reason.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely drive by tomorrow and take a look at it and see. But like I said, everything I double check at least 4 times within the year as I have my warranty checks. So that way, if anything goes wrong in that first year, we get it fixed. So we're not having to spend more money on it. So was I able to help you with your?
Does anybody else have any questions?
Look, I think you're gonna have to, I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh.
Got you. Okay, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. You're talking about the striping that you put on the card, yes? Yeah, so that's part of that phase 1, 25. So that one's the one that's almost designed, which I should be done by this week, but I'm getting it back, so. So that one, I know what you're talking about now, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's be completed this weekend for design.
Okay, anybody else have any questions?
I don't have a question, just more of a comment to Mr. Vargas. It was refreshing to hear you touch on quality. I think a lot of times that gets lost when you're faced with 400 some, patches that need to be done. But at the end of the day, if you take the time to do it right, it's gonna last 5-10 times longer. So thank you for actually putting quality up there above just getting these done, because it saves money in the long run doing that. So it's refreshing to hear you say that.
Yes, sir, thank you. Our guys take a lot of pride in their work. They've been doing it a long time, and even though they have a big number ahead of them, they still take pride in making sure these patches are done correctly, so they last a while. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. We just did too much of that, haven't we? It needs to stop. It needs to stop. I used to tell my kids, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right.
That's right.
Good to hear that. All right, anybody else? Okay, we're gonna move on. We've got a lot to talk about. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. We're gonna move on to, are we good? Oh, yes, you do. Look at that. You're gonna come up here and talk about it. Okay. All right. We're gonna move on to item 7, discuss and consider the next steps for the Fun Center located at 3751 Mesa Village. We will do that, and then for the next week, we can read on social media about how we're not doing anything with the funds. Okay, I'm just kidding. I have a little humor. Come on. Anyway, move on.
Okay, good evening again. So the Rocket Center, the Rocket City Fund Center. Deal passed in 2014, and I
of general bonds paid from property tax to be paid from property taxes for the purpose of building, beautifying, improving, acquiring, constructing, equipping, and improving buildings related facilities. It includes a family recreation center to be located at Site 8 of Mesa Village.
That did not go
I just
well.
wanted to read that. Thank you.
So of course, obviously, it passed because we have it. That's the actual little, from the actual official results. So as of today, this is the current balance of the bond, about little more than $5 million. Payoff is August of 2032. The building is 35,000 feet, and we did go out for appraisal, and it appraised at $5.5 million. As we all know, the city was never officially notified via the contract. It says it needed to come to the city manager and written, and we were notified November 30th as via Facebook. Because we were never officially notified and other issues surrounding it, which I can't speak about because we're currently under litigation, that's kind of how we were notified. So just for the record, we are still under litigation for the breach of contract. So post-closure events, we pretty much, every department is involved in this. We have been maintaining the building, we have been spraying, we have been taking care of the weeds. We're trying, the cleaning of the kitchen, we're doing rodent control, utilities are active and under the city's name. So I know there's a lot of concern that the building's being neglected. It is not, we are taking care of it monthly, daily, on a regular schedule. So last time we came to the commission in May, we had these three options posed to the commission, and the commission gave direction for staff to kind of review all of these and come back with some more information. So our three options that we posed were to sell the property, to release a new RFP, or to have the staff operate the fund center. So sale of the property, and this is where I might need Commissioner Paul to help. He was on the phone call because his expertise is in real estate. And as we do with any issue we have, we ask the commission who's best, the commissioner who's best to help us understand some of this, to help us understand some of this. So Commissioner Paul was on the call. There is different ways to sell the building. It's a conventional sale, go inside and put up our sale sign out there, or we put it on the market. We can sell the notes. Because there's not a current vendor in there, that's difficult or not feasible. Or we can put it out to auction, which they were told is the most feasible option because that gives you immediate feedback. The cons of all this is there's no current vendor. We don't really know what the profits are. We found boxes in the back, receipts. So if we have to go down that road, we'll probably have to have a furnace or someone who's through all those because we still have to get accurate financial data on it. The business needs to generate at a minimum $400,000 to be a viable investment for companies to come. And because all the realtors, they depend, all realtors depend on their sales percentage rate. We've had two companies mention that they wouldn't even take this on as a sale because in the market issues that to have it bonded, it's restricted by voters. And the market in the economy in alamogordo is uncertain, and the use of the building. So in order to sell it and let them do what they want with it, they have to sell off. We have to sell it at the $5 million that we owe. That's not a feasible amount according to them. They're saying we would take about $2 million hit if we wanted to sell it, which would mean the city would be in the hole for $2 million. So paying off the bond, that would lift the voter approval restrictions that we just saw. It would reduce property taxes if we paid it off because it was being paid for by property taxes. But there's no, if we sell it, there's no guarantee that they're going to leave it as a fund center. They can turn it into a manufacturing to 40,000. Even if we go up 50%, it would still be 13,125 monthly. I'm sorry, that's an annual. Sorry. We have to document very carefully why we're not doing that fair market value, and the commission has to approve that. Other considerations, we can't offer a liquor license because we're pending litigation, and litigation is ongoing. Option 3, city-run fun center. Everybody cringes at this, all our staff anyways. City salaries, we're still restricted by what we can pay. As when you're in the private sector, you can pay what you need to pay, we're restricted. We still have 60 job vacancies, so turnover and filling these jobs are gonna be difficult for the city to do it. That would obviously affect the operations of the fun center. Now, asking you to keep your mind open on this next one. After all this was said and done, we took several months to go through all these options, and we felt that we should give you another option. Now, I understand this is because the way it was voted, it would technically be the voter's option to repurpose the building. So this is a concept drawing. We've had all of our staff look at this. We honestly feel that this is the most feasible option that would make the best use of this building. What would go into this building is a fire station 8. We do need a fire station on the north side of town. Both Chief and DC are here to answer any questions as to why. Also in your packet, there's a letter from Chief Ramirez discussing why we have been looking at getting a ladder truck on the north side of town. First it was, we were looking at converting the one across from Betty there, and then we were talking about building one out in Mesa Village. And so this isn't a new conversation that we've had. I think it should be a public, well, we all think it should be a public safety complex because it's big enough that it can house all of these different entities. Fire station, code enforcement, we could take municipal court, put it out there, a police substation, or next meeting you'll hear about real-time crime center. We can get out of Oregon by getting city clerk records and evidence over there and bring it up. We can have a training room, genetic. Why a public safety complex? And so we need a ladder truck on the north side of town. As I said, growth of the north side include a potential courthouse, apartment complexes, a hotel, and the sheriff's offices. Building a new fire station this size would be upward of $20 million. Pros of repurposing the building. It's better use of taxpayer funds. As it sits here, it's just sitting there. And we're still obligated to pay it. Doesn't matter if somebody's in it or not. The risk of going out for RFP is in another year or two, we're gonna be in the same spot due to not being able to offer the liquor license and the rent. This has better access to Holloman Air Force Base, so there's potential for DOD funding. Redesigning the a bay for there are for public safety. And about should the city be industry, and so us out of this. Doing a fire station is rather small. If you want details, I'm sure one of the chiefs will do it, but 9.4 brand new fire station has 2 bays, fire accommodation. First itself.
Fairly large.
15.
15,000.
Okay, so 15, that's still half the size of our building.
4-story training facility.
I don't know if you can see that online. The cons of repurposing the building. Time and money. Voter approval is required. So because voter approval is required, we have 2 options. We can wait till the November cycle and put it on November 2025 ballot. Or we can do it in a special election, similar to what the schools did. And if you recall, they did a mail-in ballot, and there's criteria for that. That would cost, we second rec center, so the city would have a hard time subsidizing 2 rec centers, so the cost for playing those games and entry would be significantly higher than our current rec center. And access is still gonna be the concern. So, looking to the future, every decision we bring to you, we look at the big picture, we do it in what's in the best interest of the city, and we provide you the information that we can. So, looking to the future, there are possible activities for the whole family. Revitalizing business owners who are already invested in alamogordo, and I'll give you some information about these. This is general information. Brad, they have the Broadway Fashion Building. He already owns it. His name is Alex. This is some information. He has a, I don't know, Cruces downtown. He has a business downtown in Las Cruces. He has El Paso. They're both very successful. This is just some information on both the company and the building. Zia Comics. He has the White Sands Theater. Zia Comics is also in Las Cruces. He's here in alamogordo. He wants to turn the White Sands Theater into a family center, e-tournament, Comic-Con, movies, pop culture type stuff. I'm sure everybody knows about Dr. Moise's building on the corner of Davis building. It's going to be a winery, restaurant, and event space. And the natatorium, it passed. We have a meeting item on the next agenda. That's also going to be downtown, centralized. So we have lots of options for you to consider. I don't want to be in your shoes making these decisions, but we are providing all the information that we can. I just want to know what direction do you want us to go? We have pretty much uncovered every stone. We have looked at every possible option. We've spoken to numerous people who are interested in it to a point, but this is not our decision, this is Commission's decision.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead. I've got quite a few questions. I don't know how to go about that on all the different options that are there. So, go ahead.
I'm actually going over the letter that the fire chief put on. That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to do a good job.
Commissioner Paul.
So, as it relates to option 1, selling the building, what does it look like? What's the impact to the city if that was an option that was chosen? Property sells at fair market value, right? You can take it to auction. There's a bidder out there. They offer, you don't put any restrictions in terms of like a minimum bid. You see what's out there, have the option to review those offers that come in. Somebody offers 2.5, $3 million. We're then left with that difference of 5.
Just for its simplicity, so if it sells and it's on the auction, we get that feedback, it's $3 million. We can't sell it because there's a bond, so we have to pay the bond off in order to turn it over.
Right, so that difference then would have to be made up from city funds to pay that difference of whatever it sold for and was still owed on those bonds.
Yes, sir.
Okay. As far as option 2, is there any world where the city is able to justify a lease to somebody if you took it out for RFP that is below the fair market value of that lease? And if so, what does that involve from the city standpoint? Because, I mean, when you look at alamogordo as a whole, right, like getting $13,000 for 80 space is pretty hard to come by, so.
So, yes, absolutely, that would be a commission. We would have to bring it to commission, and we would have to, in the appraisal, which we can share, I believe there are some, there's at least one building from alamogordo, similar size, similar demographic, and that's how they come up with the initial 9 to 14, where they actually recommend $12. If you would like to do it at 25%, that's about $6,000, between $6,000 and $7,000. Going lower than that is what caused issue for us. So that would have to be a conversation with our auditors. We're going to do the
option, it says the city can't offer the liquor license because there's pending litigation. If that litigation, when and if that's settled, is that an option that's back on the table for somebody to?
So the concern is the insurance still. We have minimal insurance on a liquor license, but that is gonna be a concern. We no longer do the liquor, if you recall, at the, Civic Center, we no longer do it. Even internally, when we have our events, we have to go out for, have a Carinos or one of those do the alcohol.
Option 3, I know that you kind of mentioned there that, you know, city's understaffed as it is, but is the city looking that in-house? How many people are we looking at having to have?
Operations, it's gonna cost upward of $1 million.
On an annual basis?
Have we reached out to Denny to see what their operating costs, because don't they still run theirs?
I can't think of his name, I wanna say it's Bill, but I don't think that's right. I've actually had lengthy conversations with him.
They have a very similar situation, they built one, and I thought they brought it in-house and they run theirs through, I think it's the county that actually runs it over there, but it gave us a real close guess of what it would cost us to run it. And if we did run it in-house, the liquor license would be an issue, we could probably.
So that's where the issue is. Our auditors, because they are the reason, the fund center is the reason we got the audit finding for not having a fair market value. And even at 6,000, it's not fair market value. I mean, you can see that's 25%.
You offset that by saying, hey, this is the benefit to the citizens as a whole, and for having the facility there. And, you know, the attorney, when they structure the lease or the RFP, can kind of say, hey, these are the positive things for the community that this is providing by allowing this lease to be that way. I know they've done it in the past, so.
Okay,
Chris was always busy.
I knew Evelyn was.
So she can hear me.
That's not okay. It's your show.
So, on the audit finding for this, so if you have a for-profit company operating this as a for-profit retail space, it is not a benefit to the community.
How do we
And
manage
it can
the
be,
golf course?
the golf course, we do profit sharing. So we own the building, he charges everybody, and we take a share of those profits. We don't lease him the building, we have a profit share agreement. So if you did a profit share agreement where you need the person come in, but again, we subsidize the golf course at a very high rate because of the profit share agreement. So technically, we pay Grant about $1 million a year. Now, he has operating costs that come out of that, so he doesn't net, he doesn't net $1 million a year. But on our expense sheet, on our income statement,
very specific with that because I was so shocked that we were only charging $2,000 a month. But I specifically asked the question, how do we do this?